Welcome back to my channel. So in this video I'm going to show you guys how to make this dress. So someone sent me the video asking me how to add the upper part of this, right? So I wanted to show you guys everything instead of just going to the upper part immediately. So the first thing you're going to do is just to go ahead and draft a basic body. So I'm just going to brush through that. So first is you're going to fold your fabric. I have the front panel, I have the back panel with my zipper, and then this is what I'm going to do. So I'm going to go ahead and mark 1/2 inch for the upper part here. This is going to be my seam allowance here. And then the next thing I'm going to do is to go ahead and mark my line. So the first thing I have here is my shoulder to my chest line, my shoulder to my waist, which is 17.5, and my shoulder to my hip, which is 26.5. So I'm just going to go over here, insert my shoulder divided by 2, which is 8. And then on this line I'm going to come down 1 inch of shoulder slope, and then I'm going to insert what my armhole is, which is 9. My armhole divided by 2 is 9, or you can do like I always say, your bust divided by 6 plus 1.5. That's how you're going to get it here. And then down here I'm going to just mark 8 inches so that I can be able to connect the straight line to this point. So now for the bust, you see all my measurements are starting from here, right? This one at the back is extension of 1 inch for my zipper allowance, and the width I have here is just the widest part of your body. If your bust is the widest, use your bust divided by 4 plus your seam allowance of 1.5 or 1 inch. So now I'm going to come up here and insert my bust divided by 4, and then I think I'm going to use 1.5 for my seam allowance, and then I'm going to come down to the waist divided by 4, and then I'm going to do 1 inch of for my that, and then 1.5 for my seam allowance. And then I'm going to go down to the hip, and then I'm going to mark hip divided by 4, which is going to be 12 for me, and then my seam allowance. And then if you want, you can take, just to make this taper at the end, you can take the measurements you have here from your waist divided by 4, and you can use it here. It will taper it more, but I feel like mine might be too much because the difference is too much. So what you can do is you can take your hip measurement divided by 4, which for me is 12, and then I'm going to remove 1.5 from it, whatever is left. So 12 minus 1.5, that will be about 10.5, right? Or so. I'm going to go ahead and mark that down here. So now I'm going to connect my measurements from the bust to the waist, and then from the waist to the hip, and then from here to the end. Go ahead and add my dart. So I'm going to go back up to my waistline, and then I'm going to do nipple to nipple divided by 2, which is going to be 4 plus 1/2 inch is going to be 4.5. Mark it here, and then I'm also going to go ahead and mark it on this chest line, and I'm also going to go ahead and mark it on the hip line. But after connecting it together, the 3 like this, my dart from the top part here, how I'm going to mark this, where it's going to stop, is just to mark from my shoulder to my nipple line, which is at 12, and then I'm going to stop my dart at, your dart is supposed to stop 1 inch before the nipple line, and then the one at the bottom is supposed to stop 2 inches before the hip line, so which is where I just marked it here. So now I'm just going to mark 1/2 inch on this side, 1/2 inch on this side, and then connect my dart just like this. So guys, everything is the same for the front and the back, except that the dart at the back is going to go all the way to the it's going to remain at this point for the hip, but it's going all the way to the chest line. So if you see here, I've marked it here. So my dart here goes all the way to my armhole line, but it stops the same 2 inches before my hip line. So now the next thing I'm going to do, like I said, the focus of this video is not the basic bodice pattern. I already have several videos on this. So the focus of the video is how we are going to achieve the neckline. So let's go back up to the neckline now. And then what I'm going to do is that I'm going to go ahead and mark 3 inch for the neck width, right? And then I'm going to mark about I'm going to mark 1 inch for the back neckline like this. I'm going to go ahead and mark it. And then the next thing I'm going to do is 3 inches for the front neckline. And then I'm going to mark it also, just like this. So now let me go ahead and cut off this back neckline so you guys can see. So guys, now I've cut this out, right, for the 1 inch of back neckline. Another thing I would also like to do is that the shoulder slope, I'm going to connect it all the way to this top part here, and then also add my 1/2 inch of seam allowance, right? So now that is done, what I'm going to do is that you have to measure. So I'm going to move over to the paper. I'm going to still go back in now and cut out the rest of this here all the way to the end. But in the meantime, another thing I'm supposed to do is that on this paper now, because everything I've drafted here is on this paper, you see my armhole is the same, everything is the same, the armhole is the same, right, up until here. So I'm going to take it out because I need this paper for it, right? The same shoulder measurement, the same bust measurement, the same bust width, everything, 3 inch of neckline. But what I'm going to do now is that I'm going to go ahead and mark about, from my armhole point, I'm going to come in here by, let's say, 2.5. Just measure what you have as your shoulder slope halfway through it. So for me, that is going to be 2.5, which is here. So I measured my shoulder slope from this end here to this point here. Half of it is going to be somewhere here, right? From here to here, this point to this point, half of it is 2.5. So now from this point of 2.5, I'm going to take my tape and measure where I want the depth of the neck to stop, right? Apart from this 3 inch of neckline, where do I want, because we're still going to cut this out, how far would I like this to go down? So let's say I decide to go all the way to where my armhole line is. So let's say that is going to land me at maybe 7 or so, so somewhere here. So now I'm going to connect from here to this point. So you can freehand it, you can use a curved ruler, but I think I'm just going to freehand from here and then just mark all the way to this line. So guys, this is what I did here. I used this curved ruler like this to mark it, right? So just use this, something like this, to blend it in to this line. So now what I'm going to do is that I'm going to go ahead and cut this first part out, which is the 3 inches for the basic neckline. Throw it out. We don't need this piece here. And then I'm going to go back in again and cut. This is now the one that we need. This particular one we are cutting now. We need this one. So first, I'm going to make sure that I cut this one here, place it back again. That's why I said you're going to make sure that this is exactly the pattern that you have on your fabric, right? If you see, once I place it, everything is correct. My armhole side, this part of the shoulder going up to this point here. Even my extra seam allowance for the shoulder here is visible, which is also blending into this point here. So all I have to do is that I'm going to go ahead and pin this down and mark it first before I cut. But in the meantime, let me go ahead and cut off the excess on the sides of this clothes. So guys, you see what I did here? So at this point now, I've cut out the sides. So like I said, the tracing of this paper is exactly what I have on this panel. If you want, once you finish tracing out your bodice and cutting out everything, just get your paper and then just rule the line by the sides, you understand? That way you don't have to go to your paper and trace it separately and maybe make mistake with the measurements. You can just take your full paper, spread it out, and then trace it out. Like maybe let's say this is the paper I'm working with. After I've cut out my whole pencil dress, I can just go ahead now and place like my paper like this, maybe underneath it, just like this, and then trace out all the curves like this, trace out the side, trace out the armhole, trace out the neckline. Then after that, I can go in and cut out the part I want to use to form the colored part, right? So now this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to go ahead and remove the back panel because I've also traced my darts for it on it. So I'm going to remove it. There's nothing else I can do on this back panel, or there's nothing that needs to be done. So let me take this aside. And then for the front, now what we have to do is that if you look at this one, you see that I folded my fabric into two. This is on a fold. If you look at it, it's on a fold. The center part is on a fold here, and the only part that has seam allowance is just this curve, like here. This side here is the part that has the curve here. this part that will still join back to the fabric to form this center part, right? And then likewise on this paper now, I'm going to give it like, you don't even have to do up to half an inch. Let's say you decide to do like 1/4 of an inch here, right? Just here. That's the seam allowance you will need for this. Just mark it all the way. So now you're not cutting exactly where the edge of the paper is, like the edge of this paper. No, you're cutting with the 0.25 or 0.5, depending on the amount of fabric you normally use for your seam allowance. That is what you're going to have inside here, right? So now I'm going to take my I'm going to just go in here and start cutting. So you're just going to cut this out, and once you cut it out, you don't need it anymore. You can throw it away, because this pattern here is not going to be this color, right? This is not the color we need. You see what I'm saying? It's not up to half an inch, it's like 1/4 of an inch, right? So now this one here is going to join to this here. Once it joins to this here, it's going to form back the neckline. So but before you join it back, you have to notch it here, notch it on this side here, so that you know the center, and then also notch this part here so you know where the center is, right? So the two of them will meet back again, and then it will form back what your neckline was supposed to be. But before that, also remember that I cut out my 3" of neckline. And another thing that you would do is that you're going to go down on this neckline by, like, let's say 2 inches in here, or 1 inch. It depends on you. 1 inch is okay. Just go in a little bit, just straight down, right? This part here, you're going to use a facing to turn it over, because this is the part where our tie will cover. So if you want, you can bring it down. If you feel like it's going to choke you a little, right, you can do up to 2 inches or 2.5, but this is okay for me. I'm just going to leave it like this, and then I'm going to take maybe a piece of fabric. Maybe I can still even use this one again. Just cut a piece like a square, use it like this, place it on this here, sew it round, turn it over inside out, right? Just so that I can make a facing for this. After that, I'm then going to open up my cloth the way it is now. So I'm going to open up the, so guys, now that the next thing you're going to do is to open it up like this, the way it is, and then you're going to, you see the notch we made by the center here. I'm going to make sure that I place this here also on that same notch, right? And then I'm going to make sure this is the right side of my clothes. So the right side of my akara also, and then the right side of my clothes. So the right side facing each other. And then I'm going to take the notch where it is here. You see the notch here on the two of them. And then I'm going to start sewing. As I'm sewing, I'm pulling it towards this direction, just like that. I'm going to sew until I get to this part of the shoulder, right? And then after that, I'm going to go back again, start from that same notch again, and then continue sewing again like this, all the sides, all the corner. You're going to have to take your time, guys, and then until you get back to the top, right? Once you're done, it's going to fall in place like this. It's going to cover back up like this again, right? This is the small piece that I was saying that I'm going to use. So all I have to do is just to take it like this, place it here, and then I'm going to go ahead and sew like a V, just round where I cut open. Once I finish it, cut it open like this, and then tuck this in, iron it, just to form a facing for this neckline here, this small piece here. So I'm going to go now and do it, and then I'll bring it back so you guys can see. So guys, this is what I was saying about flipping the neckline. You see, just use something to turn it over, and that is basically it. So I've gone ahead and joined this here. You see my seam all over like this, coming back to the other side. So once you join this now, the next step is going to be to join the shoulder together. So I'm going to take this shoulder here, join it to the back panel. You see, it's still the same length. If you do it properly, it will be the same length when you're done. So join this other shoulder too. And then the next thing is going to be the necktie. So the necktie that I'm using here is about 4 inches of width. So the width here is 4 inches like this. From here to here is 4 inches. And then the length is going to depend on you. But for me, the length I have here is about 24. So I'm using 24 inches. So you see what I did here. For this one here, you see that I've gone ahead and closed it up from the end here and came up to somewhere here. So now I'm going to just go ahead and flip it inside out. So use half an inch to close up some of it and leave about 11 to 12 inches open, because you're going to use it to join from one side of the back to the front, so including the zipper allowance. So that's what I'm going to do now. You see, I flip this one out. I just have to go ahead and iron it. So you're going to use 4 inches width, and then when you take away half an inch of this side, half an inch of this side to close it up, you'll be left with a belt that is about, let's say, 1.5 width, which is perfect. So now I'm going to go ahead now, iron this out, and then I'm going to take it, after I've joined the shoulder together, I'm just going to go from the back. You have to start from the back. Once you've ironed this, tuck in half an inch on this end here, tuck in half an inch on this end here, put it together like this, and start from the back shoulder and put this the back panel inside of the belt like this, and then sew it close until you get to this front part here. You understand? Until you get to the front part here, so it will now drop like this. So I'm going to do it on both sides of the shoulder, but you have to do this after you've joined the shoulder, because it's going to be a continuous stitch from the back or till you get to the front. Once you get to the front, it's going to just drop like this. So let me go ahead and do that now. So guys, this is what I was saying about joining it from the back, and then when you come towards the front, if there's still space, you just have to just close it up, stitch it on top of it like this and close it up, right? So that is it here. You see, you have to start from the center back, from the zipper allowance, and then run it through all the way to the front, and then you have this here. So now all I have to cut is just my sleeve, add my sleeve, and then that is it for the dress. So just to cut the sleeve, all I have to do is, my fabric is folded into 2 already. I'm cutting 2 at the same time, and then it depends on you the length you want your sleeve to be, right? Mine is going to be, I think, at my elbow. The length I have here is about 13.5, right? So what I'm going to do is to come down from the tip here 4 inches down, mark it, and then I'm going to connect from this point here. Just make sure that your fabric is folded equally, and then from this point here, I'm going to connect it to the end here. So now I'm going to connect from this tip to this point, like I said, connect it with your ruler, and then find halfway through this line, give it a mark like this, give it a curve to that point, and then a curve above that point. So a curve going above it and a curve below it. After that, you're going to measure the end here, where the sleeve is supposed to be. What is the length for you? What is the width of your arm at that point? Whatever it is, divide it by 2, mark it, and then go ahead and add extra 1 inch to it for your seam allowance, and then you're going to go ahead and connect from here to this point. So now all I have to do is to cut this out and then cut from here out. So like your width here of the fabric before you start is going to be your armhole divided by 2 plus like 1.5. So you're going to go ahead, cut above here, cut below, and then cut out the rest. Notch this point. So like I said, I'm cutting 2 sleeves at the same time. So one is going towards this this one here, one is going to go to this part here. So once I fix these 2 in, I'm going to go ahead and hem the end of the clothes, fold the end, and then add my zip to the back. Your zip at the back is going to go all the way to the tip of the shoulder here. You understand? The zip at the back is going to go all the way to the shoulder parts here, just like that. So guys, you know, if you want, you can use plain fabric for the body and then use like a chiffon fabric for the neck. Anyone you want is good. If you want, you can do like me, use Akara for the body, use plain fabric. It just doesn't matter what, it depends what you want. The Akara I use is about 2 years or less than 2 years of Akara for everything, and this is less than half yard. So guys, this is what the dress looks like. So once you tie it here, it will now cover this part here. You see, to cover this opening. So this is what it looks like. Like I said, you can switch yours, use plain fabric for this, use a different color for this one here. And then this is the body. It's just a basic pencil dress here, and then I added just a very small slit at the back, and that is it. So this is a very simple work dress. Your zipper is going to go all the way to the top here at the neck. You see, my zipper goes all the way to the top here, and that is it. So thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next video. Guys, please like, share, and subscribe. Bye.